with me to discuss how this coalition building between progressives and moderates, as well as the vice presidential pick, will affect the election is Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders. Good to see you, Senator. I want to ask you about this. How true is this situation? Are progressives in the party concerned? Are moderates expressing concern to you that progressives may not turn out in the numbers that they were hoping?
Look, I can't speak for everybody who voted for me or for every progressive in America. But Ali, this I do know. The overwhelming majority of progressives understand that Donald Trump is the most dangerous president in the history of this country. You know, it's not just that he wants to throw millions of people off of health care. It's not just that he doesn't believe in the reality of climate change, that he wants to give tax breaks to billionaires, etc. What progressives, and I hope most Americans understand, is that we have a president in democracy and is moving us toward an authoritarian society. And everybody, not just progressives, moderates, conservatives, have got to come together and say to this president, sorry, Mr. President, heroes have fought and died to protect American democracy, and you are not going to destroy it. We're going to defeat you. And then after the election, I intend, with the progressive community, with working class people all over this country, to do everything that we can to move the Biden administration into the most progressive way that we can, so that we have a government that represents working people and the elderly and the children and the sick and the poor, and not just the 1% and wealthy campaign contributors. So that's the goal. Short term, defeat Trump, elect Biden. Longer term, rally the American people around the progressive agenda, which, if we have Democrats have control over the Senate, the House, and the White House, we will make significant progress, I believe.
Senator, you know Kamala Harris. You've campaigned against her in the presidential race. You've worked with her in the Senate. What's your thought?
I do know Kamala. And I will tell you that Kamala is very smart, very aggressive, very articulate, and I think she's going to be a real asset to the Biden campaign. And I would not like to be Vice President Pence in a debate with Kamala. So I think that she will be an asset, and look forward to working with her.
CNN is reporting in a conversation that they just had with on the State of the Union with Mark Meadows that he says that the White House might be open to a standalone bill to fund the U.S. Postal Service. And I know that you told Casey Hunt that you think Nancy Pelosi needs to reconvene Congress to deal with this postal issue. What do you think has to happen next?
Well, Ali, this is not just the Postal Service. I am a strong believer in the Postal Service. I think we have got to adequately fund it, make sure that everybody in America gets the mail delivery they need, gets the prescription drugs that they need. This is above and beyond the Postal Service. This is about American democracy. Now, as you know, and as the viewers know, just a few days ago, Donald Trump, for once in his life, I have to admit, was honest. I mean, this guy lies all the time. But a few days ago, he was actually honest. And he said, look, we want to defund the Postal Service. In essence, we want to destroy the Postal Service because we don't want people to be participating in mail-in ballots. I guess what they believe is that if you can suppress the vote, make it impossible for millions of people to vote, they think it works in their political favor. That'll help him win the election. But I believe that is beyond outrageous, and that we have got to do everything we can to fund the Postal Service, not to force people to make a choice about putting their lives on the line or getting sick by going to a polling station, as opposed to be able to vote from their homes. So we have to make it easier for people to utilize mail-in ballots. I would hope very much that Speaker Pelosi reconvenes the House and that Mitch McConnell has the courage to do the same for the Senate.
Senator, we've just posted a story on NBC News written by my colleagues Carol Lee and Courtney Cubie. I want to read you the first paragraph and get your reaction to this. President Donald Trump has told aides that he'd like to hold an in-person meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin before the November election, according to 4 people familiar with the discussions. Administration officials have explored various times and locations for another Trump-Putin summit, including potentially next month in New York. I don't know what to make of that. It seems strange, given the criticism that Donald Trump comes under for seeming like he's under the thumb of Vladimir Putin, to be requesting a meeting prior to the election. What do you make of it?
This is the first that I've heard of that, and it does seem pretty strange to me as well. What I can tell you is that there is a great fear of Russia and other countries continuing to interfere in our elections. And I think rather than sitting down and meeting with Mr. Putin, what Trump would be better advised to do is to tell Putin not to try to sabotage American elections. I think that would be the better approach.
Senator, I want to ask you about unions. You are a big union supporter. The other day, we saw the head of the New York Police Union endorsing Donald Trump's election bid. And I've been meaning to ask you about this for a while because we've been discussing the unrest in this country. There is an issue with police unions in particular, with some of the problems that we have been seeing with police. Many of the issues, both with cutting police funding or reducing police funding, is hampered by the fact that police union negotiations have created a situation in which that becomes very difficult. And you've got these police unions who do seem to be fending off civilian oversight and criticism of their work. How do you deal with this issue?
Well, every worker in the country is entitled to have a union and engage in collective bargaining. But I think what the American people are seeing now, in a way they have never seen it before, is not only the kinds of systemic racism that exists in this country, but police brutality and, on occasions, police murders. That's what this whole George Floyd thing is about, other police murders. We want police departments to enforce the law, to protect people, not to be involved in police murders. So do unions have the right to engage in collective bargaining for decent wages and working conditions? Absolutely. But we need cities and states all over this country to make certain that when a young black male walks the street, that person's life is not in danger, that people are not being harassed or beaten up by the police. So we need real criminal justice reform in this country, something I believe passionately in. We do not need to have more people in jail than any other country. And so many young black males within the criminal justice system right now. That's wrong. That has got to change.
Is there an advantage, though, to people like you who are influential voices within unions to be able to convene these police unions and say, look, you are definitely in this particular instance, different from unions in other places which require collective bargaining, resistant to change, and that needs to change. A lot of this change does need to come from the police unions.
No, the change needs to come from the American people. And what the American people have got to say is that we have got to address a very broken and racist criminal justice system, and that we need police department reform all across this country. This is what mayors have got to address, city councils and governors have got to address, period. And when police officers break the law, it is, I think, beyond dispute that they must be held accountable for their actions. That has not been the case in the past. And by the way, one of the things, Ali, that we are trying to do as a progressive movement, with some success, is elect district attorneys all across this country who understand that the function of criminal justice is not just to fill up our jails, but it's to do everything we can to create conditions by which people will not be put into prison if they have not committed serious crimes.
Senator, good to see you as always. Thank you for joining us this morning. Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont. You'll, of course, see him speaking at the Democratic Convention next week.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.